We are more divided now as a nation than we ever have been before. A recent survey shows that 90% of Americans believe the country is divided to the point that it has ceased to function in any kind of healthy way. Unfortunately, the church is not far behind. We tend to sever the body of Jesus Christ right down the center based on our political, our theological, or our social ideals. I heard a story recently about a pastor who learned that lesson far too well. He stood in solidarity with the African American community and simply said that Black lives matter. And that was too political for his church, and they fired him the next week. Now, why would something like that happen? Because we as a church are divided along social and political lines instead of being united as one body of Jesus Christ. And what I want to know, what we all should want to know, is can Jesus speak to that problem? This 10th chapter of Matthew, Jesus is preparing his disciples for a very short ministry trip. And he gives them their mission in verse 8. He says, you will go, you will heal the sick. You will cast out evil. You will send evil to flight. You will cleanse lepers. You will touch the untouchable. You will raise the dead. The things that no one thought could come back to life will return. So go and do these things in my name. But the rest of the chapter, Jesus is telling them how difficult that job will actually be. He says to them, some people will not welcome you. There are people who will resist the message of love. There are people who will resist the message of healing, of hope, of restoration. There are people who will resist the idea of growth. And disciples, there are even people who will resist the idea of unity in the name of God. It's very applicable for us today because there will always be people who do not want to choose love. Not everyone will choose peace. Not everyone will choose solidarity with a pastor who simply wants to love his community. That's why we find here in Matthew 10 these very strong words of Jesus. I haven't come to bring peace. I've come to bring difficulty. Jesus is not saying I've come to start a war. Jesus is saying the message of the gospel, love, peace, mercy, justice, those things will divide people. And it'll do it right down the center. And those things, those are the things that people, that religious people, that Christian people will fight over. So he gives his disciples a very stern warning as to what waits for them in their future ministry. But he doesn't just leave them there. He does what Jesus so often does. He gives the difficulty, but he also gives a promise at the end. So if you make it all the way to today's lectionary reading, you'll see the two promises that Jesus gives to his disciples after he warns them of all of their difficulties. The first promise that Jesus offers is, whoever welcomes you, they welcome me. And whoever welcomes me, well, they welcome God. And then he offers another promise there. If you will give a cup of cold water in my name, then you will have your reward. Those two promises confront us with a question. Will we welcome those, and will we give a cup of cold water to those who have different opinions than we do? That's the question that really confronts us in this gospel reading. Christians fight because we think Jesus speaks through the microphone of Fox News. Or we think that Jesus speaks through the microphone of MSNBC. Or we think that Jesus speaks through the microphone of CNN. we can't hear Jesus because we have a truncated gospel that has no room for Christ existing before American politics. We have to filter out all of the noise around us so that we can hear the real Jesus speak. What is he saying? Will you welcome those? Will you give a cup of cold water to those who are different than you are? Now, I must say, we all have our opinions. We all have our political views. I have mine, you have yours. But they should not divide the body of Jesus Christ down the center like a blade. We should be able to hold our opinions and still hold on to the love that he called us to have for one another. Why do Christians fight? Because we choose to listen to all of these other voices and name them Jesus. So what can bring unity? Living the way that Jesus told us to live in the Gospels. To choose mercy when we're in positions of power. To choose love and forgiveness when we were wounded. To choose justice when we see our sisters and our brothers suffering under the hands of tyranny. What is unity? It is following the way of Jesus that's filtered through the words of the Gospels. The news networks can't save us. The news articles can't save us. The politicians can't save us. But Jesus, who preached love, can save the world through peace, love, mercy, and justice. So why do Christians fight? Well, because we're misinformed. How can we stop? Well, by looking at Jesus. Now, my friends, may the blessing of Almighty God, who is the Father and Mother of us all, be upon you now and remain with you always. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen. I do just want to invite you, if you enjoyed today's video, to like it, comment on it, let us know, and send it to someone else that you think might enjoy it as well. So thank you for watching. Please have a safe week. Please choose love, and please know that you are